I feel like I'm a priest or something.
So do we.
Bless you, Father.
The All Blacks are playing Australia tonight at Eden Park. But I'm glad that there's more people here than at Eden Park. I'm going to read a couple of rugby poems, which probably, when I was a kid or a teenager, could have got me pretty heavily sort of bashed up or something in certain rugby clubs in this country. But red card. I hope someone's writing this down. There's a muddle in midfield. The ref's nodding at the linesman. The linesman's pointing at the tight head prop. The captain keeps shaking his head. The number 8's just been dropped. The coach sits with his head in his hands. The assistant coach is texting the sideline. The number 8's eyes are like double glazed glass. The stadium roars for a sacrifice, baying for blood, someone to blame. The ref holds up a red card. The commentator says it's a game of two halves. A hulk trudges off, head hung in shame. As for me, I'm working on lines and where to break them. That's what I do to find a way through. I hope someone's writing this down. It wasn't me who collapsed the scrum. I was out wide, the only place to be if you're a poet in New Zealand.
Thank you.
As Jill mentioned, last year I was at Waikato University. I was really fortunate to be awarded that writer residency, and this is one of the poems that resulted. It's called Waikato Karakia, which I've tried to base it on the traditional Maori Karakia chant and cantation, in which certain words are repeated to build momentum, emphasis. That was my hope. Here is the river. Here is sunlight on the river. Here sunlight weaves harakeke patterns on the river. Here by the unending course of the University of the river, I saw a broken branch waving a green leaf on its way down the river. Fairfield Bridge up to its concrete knees in the river. A museum of dreams reflecting the mysterious fact of the river. A tourist with a camera trying to catch the river. An oarsman bending his back to the language of the river. Broken promises floating like garbage down the river. A city that should have been beautiful by the banks of the river. Shoals of pale and shelving sand half seen to the bottom of the river. A gunboat's snouted cannon choking in the sediment of the river. A skeletal Caesar Roos barge giving itself back to the river. The curved, stretch-marked, drifting broad valley of the river, sliding away out of sight the wide hips of the river, and girls horned with light whose laughter flashes like the river. Here is the river, here is moonlight on the river. Here moonlight weaves tuku-tuku panels between the stars and the river. Here beneath the dark glitter of a cosmos ringed by the river, I saw the fingerprints of tupuna forming on the surface of the river. The great unwinding scroll of the lineage of the river. A waka with paddles on fire gliding around a bend in the river. From Ruapehu, the snow of last year, borne out to sea by the river. A far city whose illumination depends on the power of the river. The tiny husk of a cicada god keeping a close watch on the river. Two lovers arm in arm walking at one with the river. Here two were one and one was the other. Here I have seen the immeasurable silence of the river. Ah, river, run sweetly till I end my waiata. Here is Te Awa. Here is the Waikato, our wandering mother. And here by the banks of Kirikiriroa, I have sat down beside her. This was called Reliquary. A reliquary is a item pertaining to a saint, usually a personal possession, perhaps even like a lock of hair or something. Reliquary. Some of your photos I gave to members of your whānau. Most of your clothes to the Salvation Army. Your false teeth went into the wheelie bin. Your pills I flushed down the dunny. Your computer I passed on to your sister. Your leather coat to a neighbour. Your red gemstone ring went to your best friend. You are now in a cemetery overlooking the sea. Sometimes I sit there and turn over memories. Did you know that elephants in Africa have been recorded pausing their migrations to gently uplift with their trunks the bones of their dead, and then with infinite care returning them to the earth before travelling on?